For the following program, if you are easily triggered or offended, please exercise caution. Because the hosts really don't care. Warning, this show is not for children. And not for coworkers either. And yes, that includes you, Cindy.
Yeah, we all know they're bought and paid for. That type of growth is not natural in a week.
It just makes me uncomfortable. I mean, it's 2023. Doesn't everybody know you shouldn't be wearing a bikini to the office?
Gross.
It's nasty.
Hello.
And it's not like, I mean,
I don't want to talk about Cindy's.
Good morning, sir. How are you, Clink?
Clink. How are you? Good morning.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. This is rumble.com/JJW. That's Deacon. I'm JJ.
That's does a train's coming. Does coffee mate go bad?
Mm-hmm. Is it I'm gonna say yeah, I think maybe it breaks bad sometimes. It's got dairy, right? Isn't it dairy? I don't know. I don't do
Non-dairy.
Oh, wow. Hey, reminder. We need that commercial for the rail.
Jeez, no kidding. It smells okay. Good morning. Nice to see you today. It's too hot.
Good morning. How are you doing? How was your day yesterday? I had a bunch of meetings and stuff.
It is the end of the school year. So
yes.
When you have children and when you have older children that do many things, I guess that's even older children, young children nowadays do many things. You get really busy. So I literally yesterday, I was like, man, I've come home. I took my shoes off. I sat down on the couch. I was like, oh man, I don't have anything else to do for the rest of the night. I was looking forward to watching. I've been watching Star Trek Enterprise because I never watched.
Oh, the Scott Bakula one?
Yeah, I've never watched that one. Freaking loving it. It's so awesome.
Like it.
I'm digging it so much. And so
I think it gets a little weird later on.
Oh, that's all right. I'm digging how they're going into everything. How
yeah.
So awesome. The writers had such a hard time doing that. It was such a challenge, I bet.
I feel like it's been years since I've seen that, but I feel like it has a pretty good theme song. The theme song for that.
No,
it's not
the
good.
Theme song's the worst one. It sounds like an 80s Mr. Big power ballad warrant song. It's been a long way.
I have to check it out.
Getting from there to here. God, it's like, I don't like the theme song at all. Anyway, What I'm getting at is I went home and I was going to watch some Star Trek Enterprise, and Ashley's like, nope, we've got a million things to do because kids are in band and they do this, and we've got award ceremonies and presentations and this and that and the other thing. And I'm like, so I got to set. I mean, I got to set in an hour and a half long program last night, and my kids were up on stage for like 30 seconds in that hour and a half. And I'm glad for everyone else's kid. I'm very good. You know, I like some of those kids, but
it is a long time to sit there. Did you put Contest of Champions back on your phone for an hour and a half?
No, I didn't install Contest of Champions back on my phone, but I did have Chat GPT out, and I was like, let's make a list of some of the greatest civilizations and compare those to, I was
Oh, you were checked out.
Yeah, I was checked out.
Are they up at the R's yet? Otherwise,
yeah, dude. Yeah. With you've got a last name that begins with a letter that's
I was the last person in my school.
Yeah, my last name is just like, okay, we're gonna go in alphabetical order. I'm like, all right, well, I'll talk to y'all in a couple of days.
Dude, it's always been this way. There's like maybe 5 people after me, but it was hundreds. It was this way in high school. It was this way in college. It was this way. It was just, I have just always been at the back of the audience doing graduations, sitting there in a get up or regalia or whatever. Like, oh my God, this is taking forever. And you got to listen to somebody pontificate for like 30 minutes on You can do it. You'll be the stars of tomorrow.
Yeah, that's, I mean, and that's it's coming, and the graduation and all this, and you hear the same crap every year. I have all these graduation commercials that have been running on my station, and it's literally the same crap that we tell our kids every year. The same crap that was told to you when you graduate is going to be told to these damn kids. It's the same stuff.
All right, so tell me some musics.
JJ really got into Fleetwood Mac yesterday. He was sending me messages.
I did. I was like, this is great. Play more of this.
Yeah. All right. That's awesome. So this week we are featuring guitarists. Not necessarily the best guitarist in the entire land, but some of these are great guitarists, and they're underrated, very highly underrated guitarists. This man today is probably my favorite guitarist of all time, JJ. And I just happened to play him. I just happened to pick him today because I played him this morning on my station. You probably, if folks out there know him, they will know him as an actor. You will know Jerry Reed as an actor. He was the football coach in Waterboy. He was Snowman in Smokey and the Bandit. He's been in a ton of stuff as an actor. He's a very funny guy, and he had a voice like this, you know. Jerry Reed talked like this right here, and son, let me tell you, son, and he just had a very recognizable voice. But Jerry Reed was one of the best guitar players to ever pick up the instrument. He did not use a pick. He used finger picking style is what he did. He finger picked all the time. He wrote the song Guitar Man, you know, that crazy little guitar man, you know, that song that Elvis does, you know, the guitar swinging little guitar. You heard it. You'd probably hear it. Well, here's the story. Elvis heard that song, and he told his people, I want to cover that song. And they said, okay. So they got permission to cover that song. And they got the instrumentalists and everything, and they started recording that song. And Elvis was like, no, this guy can't play guitar like that's in the other one. I want the guy that played the guitar in that song. I want that guitar. And they were like, the guy that played the guitar in that song's freaking Jerry Reed. He's the one that wrote the song. And Elvis was like, I don't care. I want him. So on Elvis's version of Guitar Man, Jerry Reed plays the freaking guitar. So when he's got a very distinctive, when you listen to Jerry Reed's guitar picking, he's got a very distinctive sound that you can pick that out. You can tell that he's picking with his fingers. This song, The Claw, and the song Lightning Rod are instrumentals. They are huge 2-3 minute long guitar solos. They are amazing to listen to. And if you like listening to these, you can YouTube some videos of guitarists actually reacting to Jerry playing the song Lightning Rod. I've watched a couple of reaction videos to them watching him play Lightning Rod, these guitarists, and they're like blown away because he's so unique. So check out Jerry Reed, listen to these songs. They're instrumental guitar solos. They're beautiful. They're unbelievably, I mean, it's crazy how
did he use those little things that were like on the end of your finger that were like picks on the end there, or did he do it with his fingers?
I think he used his fingers because the claw is what that's what that means. He had the way that he held his hand was like a claw, you know, and he would pick. If you watch some YouTube videos of after you listen and you watch some playing, because there's a ton of Jerry Reed playing. It's amazing. He is one of the best. Chet Atkins, one of the greatest country guitarists of all time. He only, like, you can't get certified by Chet. You couldn't get certified by Chet. You had to be one of the greatest in the world. There's only like 6 people that were certified, Chet Atkins certified guitar players, and he was one of them. So, I mean, he was just a really, really good guitar player, and he's highly underrated. People look at him as an actor, and he was one of the best guitar players to ever pick up.
I like the banjo picks a lot too. There's a lot of banjo picking.
Same way.
And I just, and I've always admired people that can play the guitar, because I've picked up a guitar a time or two in my life, and I'm like, I can't do this. I can't do this.
Yeah.
From the bloody finger calluses to the, I don't know what to put where, and it just doesn't sound right. So
this is on my fingers. That's a classic line from that old Beatles song.
the strings are so close together. So your big old meaty hand to get in there and to be so deft. And,
Yeah.
you know,
And you don't have to have long. I've met guitar players. My buddy David, his fingers, he looked like an alien. His fingers were like double my size. When he put his hand around the fret, it was like I always used to make fun of him, like, God Almighty, you pick everything. But I also shook hands with Van Zant. What was his the Van Zant from 38 Special. I met 38 Special. It's not Ronnie, it was Donnie Van Zant. He was the brothers from he was a cousin brother from the Leonard Skinner Van Zants. But Donnie Van Zant, unbelievable guitar player. His hand is like this freaking big, dude. I swear when I shook his hand, because that was what I was like, whoa, how do you freaking play the guitar on those 38 Special songs so freaking crazy? And your fingers are like the size of my palm. So it doesn't matter what your hand size is.
I have pretty large hands, and I've always found it uncomfortable to try to wrap my hand around a fret and then like try to do anything. So yeah, I don't know. I definitely admire people that can run a guitar. All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the show. If you haven't already, please hit like and subscribe. That's Deacon. I'm JJ. Every morning we meet at 6:30 in the morning. We drink coffee. We talk news, politics, media, social media, gay stuff.
Nerd stuff. We do talk about gay stuff.
Why do we talk about gay stuff so much?
Because it's a big thing going on right now.
You know why? Because it's all over the world. It's running all over our culture, and eventually that's going to run all over our kids. That's the reason why I end up talking about gay stuff all the time. And speaking of gay stuff, today's title: Oklahoma defunds the Pervs broadcasting service.
Is that what PBS stands for? Pervs Broadcasting Service?
It is now.
Can I make a prediction today?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. What's
in front of all of our viewers?
There's no way this can go wrong.
All of our single-digit viewers. I predict that card will get us more views.
All right.
Remind me in a week.
It didn't. You don't need to be in a week. It could be in like later today.
Google remind me later today.
We get a couple hundred. In fact, we'll monitor that. In fact, prove him right, everybody. Share this video out with your friends on social media. This will definitely be the title card that you want to see in your social media posts. Hey, listen to my friend JJ talk about
stuff. Okay, so tell me how creepy
look how creepy Big Bird looks back here. It's just leaning over the top. All right. Okay, so Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt is defending his decision to defund the state's PBS station over its indoctrination and over-sexualization of our kids. When's the last time you let your kids watch? I mean, your kids are older. Your kids are older. It's been a long time since I let my kids watch Sesame Street or Blue's Clues, and there's some here that I don't even know about.
Some of those that I'll just be honest with you, some of those cartoons that people found that they wouldn't let their kids watch, and mine were not allowed to watch certain ones, not because of what I had to say. It was because of what she wanted, and I respected that. Okay. Right. And it just I completely believe completely different. Okay, but I respect that. And so my kids grow up. My daughter's fixing to be 18 years old this month. Okay. And here in just like a week. And she's never seen SpongeBob. She was never allowed to watch Dora the Explorer. You know, there's certain things she was never allowed to watch. And we've had conversations about that. Me and her have had conversations about that before. And now that she is almost 18 years old, she thinks it's a little silly. But she don't quite understand the parent aspect of it because she hasn't had that experience yet.
Yeah.
That's what I told her. I said, Kendra, in 20 years, I told her this last night as we were going out to the school and we were talking about the craziness that goes on in public school anymore. And I told her, I said, Kendra, in 20 years, you're going to look back at yourself right now and think, I didn't know shit. At 18 years old. I said, I'm almost 46 years old, and I look back 20 years ago at 26, and I didn't know dick. about life, man.
You probably are like,
nothing.
why did they let us vote? I'm not sure why they let us drive.
That's what initially we were talking about was voting, and I was like,
Oh yes,
they don't have it.
yes.
I was like, no offense, but you have no business voting.
Yeah.
An 18-year-old has no business voting, and the only reason that they allow that is because they've arbitrarily decided that 18 is the number that you're officially an
No,
adult.
look,
And
that's not
that's not
the
true.
reason. The reason is
Well,
okay.
Well, yeah, I know what you're going to get at, but that's what I was getting at. That number, but in order to get the votes, they can.
Yeah,
Young people are very easily brainwashed. Very easily brainwashed. So
I mean,
and that's why
review the last 10 years of media. Everybody is able to be brainwashed. We went from like, this is America, we're not gonna do what the world says, to in a minute we were like, mask up.
And this is a perfect segue into the first story, because we're doing this with the kids. And is this JJ, I propose a question to you.
All
right, as a Christian, you're a Christian, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Is this trying to teach our kid, is this indoctrination, or is it love thy neighbor?
The story?
All of it. Yeah, like this story. Is this teaching our kids indoctrination, or is it teaching our kids love thy neighbor? I'm not trying to be an asshole when I say that. I'm honestly curious about that question.
I think it starts with a good intention, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then very, very quickly it becomes it's not about, okay. All right. So let's read through the story and then we can kind of address it. But like, I mean, if this stuff starts with like these kids shows, like, oh, we just want to show kids that, that it's okay that some families are different. Some families have two dads. Some families have two moms. Some families have a dad that dresses up and puts on makeup and, like like increasingly like socially degenerate. I mean, like, I don't know. It's about the disassembly of the expectation of the norm of society. The norm of society being that a mom and a dad have kids. That's the nucleus of the family structure. And the family structure is the nucleus of society. It is the nucleus of community. It is the nucleus of communities coming together in worship and faith and in churches and our country being communities of citizens of states and that have common beliefs. That is the core of our whole Western civilization. And for some reason, people have an idea that like, oh, the best thing for us is to dismantle that expectation of that norm.
But do you think they are? I already know the answer to this.
No. Do I think that it's insidious, or do I think that it's like intended to be
basically?
I mean, yes. Well, for some, look, there are some people out there that definitely genuinely have their imagination goal is in the right spot of like, oh, they perceive intolerance and they want to reduce that. That is their imaginary objective to overcome.
And it's admirable.
And that's not bad, right? No. But the balance, they don't take all the rest of it into account. You know why? Because they're only concerned about the things in their perception and their reality. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, somebody looked sideways at me and sneered on the sub or on the bus or something like that. And because of that, there's intolerance and whatever. And so now Christians, right? Love thy neighbor. They, and some of that is exploited. Some of that is, if you know that, people that profess faith and forgiveness and, the salvation of all men, and we're all broken. If you know that they're going to be like, very forgiving, then you can just keep pushing and keep pushing and keep pushing. And, people that want to demonstrate love to people will just keep taking it and just keep receding and keep retreating and retreating. And where we're at now is a culture that has shrunk away from the norm, the historic human norm of people grouped in families and tribes, and receded from that. And on top of that, we've had the like things like church attendance decline over the last 50 years. It was not uncommon 60 years ago for you to be out on your porch and interact with your neighbors.
No, not at all. No.
When was the last time you were outside and interacting with all your neighbors?
I don't even know my neighbors' names. The only reason I know my neighbor behind me is because he's lived there for like 50 years and he was my buddy's dad, and I've been to his house. We played D&D when I was 13 over there at his freaking house.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, where my dad lives now, he's been passed away for 25 years, I bet, but old man named Lloyd, and we knew him. He would whoop my ass if I got in trouble. You know, the lady next door, Miss Cope, I was at her house all the time. She would always come over, and us kids would help her in the garden and stuff like that. The lady that lived next to her, Miss Betsy, she owned the Hallmark. She was the rich lady in the neighborhood. So we would go over and weed her yard, and she would always pay us like $20 back in the freaking 80s. And that was huge freaking money. So yes, we loved our neighbor. We did things for our neighbor. We helped Lloyd could come into our house when we weren't there and do if he wanted to, but
or check on something, and maybe you have a pet or something.
I know John's he's got a particular screwdriver in there I need, and he'd go in and get Dad's screwdriver and borrow it. And Dad
we used to have community, and I mean this in your neighborhood. Your neighborhood used to have, however many houses there were, but people knew each other and they talked to each other, and then fences go up and people receded. They retreated to their backyards, and we atomized our culture so that it's just you and your little things that you care about, and everybody else is out there and not worrying about it. Well, now they're atomizing the family.
Do you know your neighbors?
I know like all my neighbors.
Oh, really? Do you really?
Yeah, I do.
Good.
My wife is really good about this.
Good. So, that is good. I like that.
Across the street, that we call them Tia, Liz, and Tony. So they're like uncle, but they're not. They're just our neighbors,
right?
And then and all of our neighbors.
Good. Good. That's awesome. Yeah.
See, and you know what? You have to overcome such like weird feeling of in society for that to even happen. Because you go to anybody's house, they'll be like, "What do you want? Why are you here?
What do you want?" Hell, there's weathermen that are pulling guns on little girls looking for lost dogs.
Right.
You seen that freaking story last week? There's a lady that's fixing to move in right across the highway from us, and I mean it's directly across the highway. And when she moves in, I thought I'm going to go over there and introduce myself, because I'm constantly looking at her house all the time, and she's constantly looking at mine. So I'm going to let her know, hey man, I'm always looking at your house by default anyway.
Yeah, it's out my window.
Keep an eye out for you. Because
I'm a weird car.
I'm always looking over there when I'm always looking over there.
Right. Yeah.
I'll keep an eye out for you. No.
Okay. Right. So let me.
Good answer. I know we kind of went off on that, but that was a good answer to that question, because I really was wondering about that. And you explained it. You explained it pretty good.
I think Christians especially are taking advantage of in this regard, because they're a little bit weak on this idea, because they don't want to be combative. And then we could probably dive into that more.
Do they not want to be combative, or do they not want to be labeled in public?
Well,
I think there's
there's some of that too.
Problem,
and that is a weakness
in society, because people do not want to say what they mean for fear that they're going to be canceled, because I'm even one of those people. What did I say to you? Yeah, I said that same thing to you yesterday about the show. I was worried about what I said after the show. I told JJ I was worried about what I said, and the thought that somebody would get mad and try to get mad at me because of what I said. And
guys, Deacon really does not want to offend people. Sometimes he just gets on here and just yaps with me for our own yucks. And we make fun of stuff that maybe we shouldn't be making fun of so much,
I'm
but
not a good human.
yeah,
I
like
don't even
I'm not.
claim to
Look, I
be.
am
I'm a
not a
real
saint.
person. I'm a
And
real human, and I have real feelings. And just because I feel that way doesn't mean that I should automatically be canceled and my feelings should
right,
be canceled out. The reason I feel the way I feel is because of my environment and my experiences in my 46 years of life. I
right,
have not lived a cushy life like some people. All right. I haven't lived a terrible life either. But I do have a lot of experiences that influence just like every other human being that's ever lived. All right. So we've gotten to a point today that people don't want to hear what you say and they just get mad and they stick their fingers in their ears. So what are you looking at? What's over here?
that's where the mute button is, because I knew that you were hearing the treadmill motor a little bit. So
Oh no.
I mean, like that's the one thing of our show that is genuine and true is that we're we may kind of like elevate things a little bit to just be a little bit like absurd or silly or try to be a little entertaining, but on a lot of issues we were being uh genuine, like honest, and we're not faking being upset about stuff. So we do try to be like forthright, which if you've never been on a show before, you try being honest about how you feel to uh people.
Yeah, yeah. But I will admit that I have been changed on my perception on a couple of things have been changed on this show. Because of this show, because of people on this show, and our
Right,
and our listeners and our viewers and our commenters and on Discord server, things that Mr. E has put has made me look at things a different way. And 2 days later, I'll be thinking about it in the car and think,
right,
maybe I am being a bigot.
yeah,
Maybe I'm being an asshole looking at that way. What is the harm in looking at it from a different? So I have had these thoughts. I'm not a closed-minded asshole. So that's why we always encourage you
right,
to join the Discord server, even if you watch
yeah,
this show because you hate everything that comes out of my
yeah.
mouth or JJ's mouth.
Change our mind. We're
We
flexible.
I'm not a hateful person all the time.
Honestly, I don't
Sometimes.
want to be hateful, but I feel like some of these things they absolutely have to be just like mocked on their face, or at least
Too many
some of
people
this
turn
stuff.
the other cheek, and I'm not a turn the other cheek type of person.
Yeah,
I've never been a turn the other cheek type of person. I honestly believe there has to be a faction of people that has to sacrifice themselves in order to protect everybody else. You know what I mean?
right.
I've got to be the asshole, and so that my kids won't have to be the asshole.
All right.
So
So on this
to speak.
on this story, before we move on, I'm just going to get one of these facts in here. So this is the governor of Oklahoma justified his position to defund PBS in Oklahoma. And Fox reports the governor's office also pointed to a PBS NewsHour feature on a parent's support for various gender care treatments, including puberty blockers, a gay
Oh,
character in
okay.
Workout Wombats, which airs on OETA PBS Kids, Clifford the Big Red Dog, introducing LGBTQ characters, a plethora of Pride Month programming on OETA, a special about about a town of Christians and drag queens who step into the spotlight to dismantle stereotypes, and a same-sex wedding featuring PBS Kids Odd Squad. So,
Okay.
all of that stuff.
I don't have a problem with some of it, JJ. I don't.
Okay.
I don't
Okay.
have a problem if you want to display LGBT or a gay character. I'm some of those letters.
Right.
But I don't have a problem if you want to display a gay character or even a gay couple in a cartoon. I just.
So, right.
But some of that other stuff, yeah, I got a problem with it. Like
And
the indoctrination
is that
type
a
gender care shit. Kids don't have a shit and clue about your sexuality at all.
no,
And
no,
it shouldn't even fucking be brought up to their attention. Okay?
no.
Period.
Okay. I mean, there's a certain demographic of people, or there's a certain group of people who will say, and they may have a good point. They will say that people that want to show this stuff to kids want to normalize it to kids because they want kids to lean into these inclinations in your life. And the word groomer is used to describe people that have that kind of like insight in mind, that they want to shape children to be anyway. Do I have okay, so how about this? The state of Oklahoma, or at least the governor's office of Oklahoma, says we don't want public funding to go to programming like that. Is that an okay position for you, Deacon?
Yeah, because it's public funding, and I have to go through public rules all the time. All the time. I am under the public rules thumb. A guy asked me last night about a commercial for my radio station, but the business, it wasn't after talking to him for a little bit, it wasn't a business, it was actually a raffle for a thing. And I was
really?
I said, hold on, I need to check the FCC rules on that, because there's rules when it comes to raffles and stuff like that. I was like, I need, so I'm always under the freaking public thumb.
Right.
So no, I've got certain rules that I have to follow. All right. They should have certain rules that they have to follow too.
Also, why is the government funding TV?
I mean, yeah, public broadcasting service. I mean, they
right.
It's in the fucking name.
Yeah, I know, but like
broadcasting service.
TV is dead, dude. Why are we funding TV?
That's true. That's another good point. TV is actually dead. I read an article yesterday when I was going through looking for stuff. I read an article. I love Mayim Balak, and they hate her on Jeopardy. They just hate her on Jeopardy. I don't watch Jeopardy anymore. But I've always liked Mayim Balak, and I didn't know that she had this show on Fox, I guess. And I don't even remember what the name of it is, but it was about this, because she's about our age, and it was about, she was a college professor that has realized that she's never going to get married, so she gets some cats and she changes her life and opens up like a cat business instead of being a college professor. And I thought that could be a cute show. It went for 3 seasons and they canceled it. And I was like, I didn't even know that she had a show. Why were we talking about this? Why did we start?
Not sure. Hey,
no, that there was a point to that.
Are we on cat lady professor?
No, it was something about. There was a point to that my brain is not picking up right now. It'll come back.
Hey, Deke, let me just shift gears here for a minute. During the COOF, there was this wild conspiracy theory that the COOF emerged from a laboratory in Wuhan, China, that was run by EcoHealth Alliance. Did you ever hear any of this?
No.
Didn't?
No, there was some good comment. I'm sorry. I was reading some of these good comments of talking about that last thing that we were just talking about over on Rumble.
Yeah.
Can I get that real quick?
Yeah.
All right, because it says, Brian Perkins says, you may not have a problem with it, Deke, but these cartoons have the intended target of kids. Think about that. They are targeting kids. This is not targeting adults. That's the core issue. I understand that, and I agree with that, but it's not going to... My kids already, this is not going to stop them. And it's everywhere already. So if you take it off the cartoons, they're going to see it everywhere else.
That's true. In fact, my kids were at the park the other day.
They're doing it here. They're doing it here. I'm just saying that to me, gay people are not a problem to me.
Right.
It's the trying to get our kids to change their brains on their sexuality that I have a problem with.
Right. Yes.
That's because kids don't have any business doing that. But if you got two gay adults that live, the two gay rats on the fucking gay cartoon, and they're, hey, how you doing, Bob and Larry? Hey, we're good. Yeah. Nice to see it. And they keep going on with their show. I don't care.
Right.
So, I mean, I understand where you're coming from, and I really respect y'all's opinion.
Probably the bigger issue there is, like, especially the people that park their kids in front of TV for hours at a time and don't watch.
Yeah, that's and when you put that into the equation, Brian's statement means a whole lot more. And that holds a whole lot more water now with me when you put that in the statement. And I didn't think about that because that's what 70% of parents do anymore.
Right. Yeah.
I'm bored here.
I barely let my kids watch TV or anything. I'm like, you better pick up a toy and start playing.
My kids don't.
And I don't really even need to do that. I'll just play music.
They watch TikTok. I mean, you need to watch out for that. They watch TikTok, but they're not constantly. Hell, my kids play like 5 instruments, so they're not watching shit.
Yeah. Be more like Deacon's family, kids out there.
We got the Partridge Family.
Get music. All right. So I was telling you, EcoHealth Alliance, there was this conspiracy theory that EcoHealth Alliance was in Wuhan, China, and then were responsible for gain of function research. This is a conspiracy theory. This is unproven. And that somehow the virus got loose, and we I don't know, endured the cough apocalypse for for 2 years. Would you be surprised to learn, Deacon, that the NIH has renewed a grant to EcoHealth Alliance?
No.
After all of this, the National Institute of Health is like, yeah, you guys can have some more money.
Yeah.
EcoHealth announced the renewal on Monday, noting that the grant had been suspended in April 2020 due to concerns about continuing collaborative laboratory research in the Wuhan Institute of Virology. EcoHealth's experiments involved on-site work at the Wuhan Institute of Virology and involved the study of coronaviruses. Formerly maligned as a conspiracy, the notion that the pandemic emerged as a result of a lab leak has increasingly gained traction among federal agencies such as the Department of Energy and these nobodies. Who is this? Oh, the FBI. The FBI has for quite some time now assessed that the origins of the pandemic are most likely a lab incident in Wuhan.
That's JJ. I'm Deacon. I just wanted to make sure because we don't have the names at the bottom anymore. His name is JJ.
I'm just reading the news. I'm just reading the news, bro. I'm just reading the news.
Just pointing out who's who.
So EcoHealth Alliance assassins will be deployed soon enough. Okay.
Assassins will be deployed. The hand is coming.
The worst thing that you could do to fight EcoHealth Alliance is probably hit the like button on this video.
They hate that.
They hate it. They can't stand it. All right. Okay. Do you want to know why I was listening to? Wait, hold on. Yeah, let me just do this one. Do you want to know why I was listening to Florence and the Machine this morning? Oh, Deacon's on the on the mic. So before we started the show, I was listening to Florence and the Machine. Dog days are over. I'm not singing it, but so it turns out, and I didn't know this, that Florence and the Machine's Dog Days of Summer is on the soundtrack for Guardians of the Galaxy 3. So I haven't seen the movie yet, but I know that some of the people watching the show have already seen it. I think the theme for the Guardians soundtrack album is like 90s songs. I feel like this is a little bit later than that, but anyway, Dog Days of Summer is in the Guardians soundtrack. Florence posted on TikTok that she cried all the way through Guardians of the Galaxy. She just liked the movie. She likes like superhero movies and stuff.
Oh, you're talking about Florence.
And then with Florence. And then her song came up on screen. So she was watching Guardians of the Galaxy, and then Dog Days came up, and she just like really lost it. So I can't play it. I can't play it.
Can't play it. I've got the list right here. Yeah, Dog Days Are Over, Florence and the Machine. That's a good pick. Creep acoustic version, Radiohead, Crazy on You by Heart, Since You've Been Gone by Rainbow, In the Meantime by Space Hog. You would recognize all these if you heard it. You would recognize maybe
so here's
No Sleep in Brooklyn.
TikTok right here. So she's watching. I don't know why this got me. I was watching this earlier, and she's watching Guardians of the Galaxy. You can hear the soundtrack in the back, and she can see her. She's kind of like emotional right there, but then she just breaks up. She just like cracks up and starts crying, and I don't know why, but that got me.
No, I mean, that's really awesome because I bet you out of all of our freaking viewers out there, a very small percentage had ever heard of Florence and the Machine, and even me as a music file. When you said that a minute ago, I was like, oh yes, I really like her, but I never got into them. I'd only heard a couple of Florence and the Machine songs, about 15, 20 years ago, it seems.
Right, yeah.
And I never really got into them that much.
I don't think she's had a lot of.
I even wrote down. Look, I wrote it down so that I can remember. I was like,
go back and check her out.
I gotta go back.
I don't know how many like hits they've had. I mean, they've obviously had a couple. But they had Dog Days was a big song. It was on Saturday Night Live at one time. Like they performed on Saturday Night Live. So, but
they never had a radio hit.
Never had a radio hit
in the United States.
Oh yeah.
No, I know that for a fact. Let's see. Discography.
I think crying for 2 minutes and 29 minutes, 2 minutes and 29 seconds is a bit excessive. Also, I like Florence's band, but not all the songs are hits. No, they're not all hits. And in fact, I went through the other day, I started just watching like Florence and the Machine videos, and I was like, okay, this video is weird, but the song isn't great.
Dog Days Are Over got up to number 21 on the charts in the United States.
And that's probably the biggest one they've ever had.
That's the biggest one. The only other one that ever charted was Shake It Out, and it only made it up to 72 on the charts. But in the UK, they're huge. Right. In Ireland, she was pretty big with some songs. But in the UK, she had a number 5, a number 2, a number 1. So, and in Ireland, she had some top 10s. I mean, Dog Days Are Over in the UK, number 23. It wasn't even her biggest hit in the UK.
Oh, wow.
Spectrum, Say My Name was number 1. Right. So, interesting.
I was mostly all of that was just because, like, she posted this video of her reacting to that, and I don't know. It just tugged on my heart a little bit because I'm a fairly insensitive person. I don't feel very much. So when I see somebody have like a genuine emotional moment, I'm sometimes like, well, that's fascinating.
I got something that you're going to feel.
Oh, you do?
Do you feel like a Bud Light?
I'm not. You know what? It's totally appropriate. This is a pretty gay episode. Let's do
it. You're acting gay. I know that. So.
Ooh, yeah.
Ooh, watch out. So this guy, I don't know who he is, Clay Travis. He did this. Oh, I'm trying to scroll on the wrong screen. Outkick founder. I don't know what Outkick. What's Outkick, Deacon? You may ask. I don't know.
Yeah, what is Outkick?
I don't know. Google the shit. I don't know. But the guy that founded it, Clay Travis, conducted an experiment over the weekend where he offered various cans of free beer at a concert in Nashville. All right. So maybe somebody I know went down there and actually was in the experiment. Okay. So the experiment allowed those. He had a couple of coolers and he has some videos and he says, hey, pick which beer you want. And he had Yuengling, Michelob Ultra, and Bud Light. And guess which one was left? In the first video he posted at 6:45 showed his cooler full of multiple kinds of beer, including Yuengling, Michelob Ultra, and Bud Light. He posted a second video towards the end of the evening at 10:15, roughly 3 hours later, where the cooler only appeared to have cans of Bud Light remaining, indicating that those who took the free beer chose the other brands. He says, I'm not a marketing expert, but if the only beer left, he said, is Bud Light, this is ideal, not good for the brand. He said people don't want to be seen holding a Bud Light. And he's in Nashville, first of all.
And not only that, he's the founder of Outkick. I just looked it up. You know what they are?
What is that?
Sports media company.
Oh, okay.
If you have an audience that's inclined to drink beer, it's a sports media company audience.
Yeah.
So he was at an area event regarding sports, and sports fans were like, free beer? Oh, but that beer makes me gay? Pass. Because that's the brand that Bud Light has built. The brand Bud Light has built the brand. Like, if you drink this can, you're probably trans.
This is the same thing that when we were in middle school or high school and they would say, don't get your ear pierced on the whatever side. That means you're gay. Or you can't wear, remember it was, don't wear your watch on whatever arm because that means you're gay. What the
Yeah.
I mean, look, thought this was hilarious. This just people are lemmings, man. People are lemmings.
Does it mean you're gay if you drink Bud Light? No.
Yes, it does. Oh, it don't? Oh, I didn't know.
Okay.
See, I've been told it does, JJ.
Not actually. But when Bud Light allows a trans activist to cause a shitstorm and lose billions of dollars, and Bud Light's like, whoa, 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 that wasn't us. That was like one dude, one can. All Bud Light had to do was be like, whoa, 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 that wasn't us. Instead, they're like, Bud Light didn't say anything. They put some people on leave. They never came out to their customers and said, look, we're sorry about that. So what they have done is they have passively left the message that Dylan Mulvaney, trans activist and representing Bud Light, and that's okay by us. Meaning that if you drink Bud Light, you are backing that message.
This stance that they took is the if we don't do anything, it'll go away stance, but they didn't quite take that stance. They took the I'm not, I want to appease the people that we pissed off, and they made a little statement. They made a statement that was this big, and then and yeah, the backlash is still. I come across that story this morning. I thought, man, that's funny. The backlash is still going.
So the if they get mired in the culture war here, and they've lost the sports fans because they backed trans activists or whatever, at least they still have the LGBTQ audience and the gay bars, right? No, they've lost the gay bars too. Gay bars are also boycotting Bud Light.
Really?
Yes. Illinois gay bars boycott Bud Light over their anti-transgender comments. Anti-transgender comments. What anti-transgender comments? The only thing is that they said basically that Dylan Mulvaney was like one can to one guy. It wasn't a media thing. So they kind of left Dylan Mulvaney out in the rain, and so the LGBT army is now
smeared.
Yeah, I know.
He's out in the rain.
Yeah. Anheuser-Busch's decision to drop its support of Mulvaney in response to ignorant and hateful objections by some of its customers shows how little Anheuser-Busch cares about the LGBTQIA+ community, and in particular transgender people who have been under unrelenting attack in this country. So Bud Light has lost.
Been under unrelenting attack because people have been voicing their opinions when y'all voice your fucking opinions to me all the time.
Yes.
I'm not allowed to give you my opinion when I'm forced to hear your opinion all the time. That's what I'm just trying to understand.
Yes. No, that's correct. That's correct. Yes. Okay. Yeah. They're allowed to say whatever they want all the time.
And
if
I'm
you say
supposed
anything,
to agree
you're a bigot or a transphobe
or a
homophobe.
So if I have any opinion or any kind of thought that goes against anything that they say, I'm automatically a bigot, transphobe, hate monger, piece of shit.
You are on script. Okay. That is correct.
Cool. I'm just glad that we're if you'll notice, that's my name in the Discord server is Hateful Bigot. I've changed it.
Okay.
So if you're looking for me, that's the one.
All right. We have 9 minutes left.
I got a manly story.
Manly.
Yeah, because we've been gay all show. I thought let's do a masculine. You want to be masculine for a minute, JJ?
Sure, yeah.
All right. I got you something to be masculine about.
Ooh.
You think you can pull the sword from the stone? You think you could rule England? He who pulls the sword from the stone is the ruler of Britain.
Italy's sword in the stone is not fake, according to chemical analysis.
This is a cool story. This is a cool story. So I'm going to butcher some of these names, but I'm going to try.
Can you do it with an Italian accent?
No, I cannot.
Mario, please tell me about the sword.
The legend around the sword said no. The legend around the sword says it was a weapon of Galgano Guidati. All right, Galgano Guidati was a ruthless knight born in 1148. All right, he went on to become a Catholic saint. According to the story, which largely comes from the canonization process, which took place shortly after his death, Galgon's father died early in his childhood. He was a rebellious child, and he fell in with the bad crowd. Now, the bad crowd today might mean people doing drugs, but in 1148, falling into the bad crowd as a teen meant that you were participating very eagerly in internal wars that were led by local lords. All right. So this guy's pissed off at this guy and he wants some land. So you help out, and that's getting into trouble. So Galgon continued
Wait,
his
hold
way.
on.
Yeah.
Being a bad seed back in 1148 meant killing people next door.
I guess. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Taking their land. Galgano continued on his way for years, relishing the violence before one day falling off his horse and having a religious revelation. He converted shortly after to Christianity. So he fell off his horse, had a religious revelation, converted to Christianity, abandoned his finance
Fiance.
or his
Fiance.
fiance. I can't read this freaking
It's tiny.
font is weird looking. They could have used a different font. He began a hermit's life, all the while he shared visions that was nagging him to build this hermitage of his own. So he is said to have thrust his old sword, a symbol of how he was abandoning his violent life. Rather than acting like a rock, it yielded like butter, according to versions of the legend, leaving only the hilt protruding from the top and the tip poking out the other end of the rock. It is housed inside the rotunda in Tuscany in the stone. All right. So, as nonsensical as it sounds, there is a bit of a curveball coming up in the form of scientific analysis. In 2001, chemist Luigi experimented in the artifact and found a number of surprising details while dispelling the myth that the sword was a recent fake. The style of the sword is consistent with that of other similar weapons at the same time. We can either label it as an XA type sword typical of the late 12th century. And although iron artifacts cannot be unequivocally dated, he wrote, the composition of the material did not reveal that modern alloys had been used, and so it is fully compatible with medieval origin. We compared the fingerprints of trace elements with the sword's metal that the pieces of iron slag can still be found along the great abbey of the St. Galgano. The slag is the waste from the small foundries used by the monks to manufacture their small iron objects, including using local iron ore. So it's very interesting. A pair of mummified arms held near the sword, said to be those of thieves who tried to take the sword shortly before being struck down by God, were also carbon dated back to the 12th century. Meanwhile, it was also determined that the hilt protruding out of the rock and the sword blade underneath are one piece. It's not two pieces. As annoying as it is, it remains a mystery precisely how the sword got there, beyond the legends of how the stone somehow turned to butter. Isn't that interesting?
It is. I'm a little bit skeptical of this altogether. So
Okay,
one of the stories,
anybody would be.
one of the stories that this story cites, or one of the papers it cites, is this publication from rcin.org.pl.
Okay.
And here you see a few different images of the hilt.
Yeah.
Right. This one doesn't appear to be in the rock whatsoever.
What?
So I don't know if it broke off. Right here. See this blue
the blue one?
This is
it looks like
part.
I was assuming that was a computer where they had taken what you can see of the hilt and they 3D'd it out.
Yeah. So I don't know why they haven't shown like an X-ray. Can you not X-ray a rock and a stone to just show that it's like all the way through there? And how did it get in there?
He shoved it in. Didn't you hear what I read?
I know, but
it was
like
butter.
Really, that don't make sense, dude.
It's a cool story though.
It is cool. So if you take this, you can go get crowned the King of England instead of Chucky.
Yeah. You'll be able to. You can dehead Chucky.
Dethrone
him.
We don't need to dehead him. He's old enough on his own.
70-something years old. Your mom.
You mentioned yesterday that Mahershala Ali's Blade movie was on strike.
Yeah. Do you have some more info on that?
Well, I have a Hollywood Reporter story, but basically it substantiates what you said, that basically the writers are on strike and the movie's on pause. The movie's on pause.
Sucks, man. I think he would make a great Blade.
He would probably be good, but that script has got to be good also, because we have seen that Marvel is totally willing to film a bad show and a bad movie. There's $1 billion in net production costs that are exposed because of the strike, and that's a concern. That is a quote from one source.
Recently. I watched something new recently. Oh, the Dungeons and Dragons movie.
Was it good? Was it
Yeah.
fun?
Yeah, it was fun.
Was it really?
Yeah.
I want to see it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I read an article. You know, I was kind of against the Dungeons and Dragons movie. I knew it would be kind of good.
Yeah.
But I knew it would be kind of good. And I read an article the other day that was like, and he hit the nail on the head in this article. He said, "Man, that Dungeons and Dragons movie was great. As a Dungeons and Dragons player, the Dungeons and Dragons movie was great, and it sucks that there's not going to be a fucking another one because of how shitty it did in the box office." And the whole article was about how they're going to use the box office numbers to determine, you know, if these movies were really good, and they're going to get more views and whatnot. As a longtime Dungeons and Dragons player that knows about the mythical world of Forgotten Realms, Toriel, yes, if you know about Toriel, Forgotten Realms, and Dungeons and Dragons, you're going to be picking out shit in the movie. You're going to absolutely love it. If you don't know anything about Dungeons and Dragons, you're going to love the movie because it's fun. It's a fun movie. It's just like a D&D. It's like a game of Dungeons and Dragons. I was pointing it out to my son. I was like, to Deacon, there's a part where these things are moving in the distance and it's rattling the rocks right by his feet, and the camera angle's showing the feet and the rocks rattle. And I was like, man, that's a description that a DM would give you as you're standing there.
So maybe this is one of those movies that that kind of gets its legs and its life after it leaves box office and because it is performing pretty bottom end of performance.
Yeah.
It cost $150 million to make, and it's only made worldwide 202, which is not enough. You have to make you'd have to make like 400 million for it to break even.
You'd have to, yeah.
So
and that sucks because I told my buddy, I said, man, I would love to see a movie on this other world, this different world with different races. And they've got these automated machines called they're called Warforged. It's a really interesting freaking concept. So we'll get out. If you want to talk Dungeons and Dragons and you're a Dungeons and Dragons nerd, you can join our Discord server. I've even got a little thing over there that's called D&D and Deacon that we can talk about if you want to. Nobody ever talks in it, you know, whatever. And while you're there, we need to make a channel that just says JJ's dad jokes, so that you can go in, post a dad joke. We won't have conversation there. We just post dad jokes, so JJ can go in, read it, and then cross it off the list, so that he always has a dad joke ready, because I think
that channel is called JJ Needs Friends, and nobody ever posts there.
Nobody ever posts
ever.
JJ Needs Friends.
Zero.
You need to go over to the UMCOC server. You got a lot of friends over there.
Friends? Not friends.
They all love you over there.
My name is a curse
hero.
It's like, oh no, he's here.
They hate you.
Yeah.
All right.
Because all I ever do is like, oh, stop it with that, you guys. Time out.
I know, because they're all a bunch of little kids. All right. So, all right, JJ. Julie Andrews. All right. You know who Julie Andrews is, right? Yeah. Julie Andrews. Please, you're going to ruin my joke if you don't.
The hills are alive.
Yeah, Mary Poppins. Yes.
Oh.
Yeah,
did I get the wrong one?
No, you got it. Yeah. That's
I didn't really?
Yeah. Way to go. Julie Andrews. She said she bought a cheap lipstick that fell apart and made her breath stink. All right. Julie Andrews bought a cheap lipstick that fell apart and made her breath stink. Her super color fragile lipstick gave her halitosis. I liked that one. Her super color fragile lipstick gave her halitosis.
Surprisingly, I have a similar I have a similar story to tell you about. The other day, my wife asked me to pass her lipstick, but I accidentally handed her a glue stick, and she's still not talking to me.
Let's switch channels. This show is dull.
You bet. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you haven't already, like, subscribe. Deacon predicted that this video would get tons of views. I think we did our job to stop that from happening. Here's the link to the Discord.
We did our job to stop that from happening.
We're preventing the We should just call each other next time, dude. Bye.